Now I want to preface this video with, this is not just going to be your mumbo jumbo wacky tacky sort of video, which is going over my story to tell you how hard my life was, to how difficult things were. Because the truth is, they weren't. But I want to go through my journey, my story, for those that actually give a fuck, so you can understand why I am the way I am now, what got me to this point, and what it took to get here. So let's take it right back to the beginning. Back when I was a kid. Now, I had a great upbringing, great family, still have a great family. They're lovely. I have absolutely no sob story to tell you. But I will say this, that does not discredit how I felt. I felt an extreme lack of confidence, and I have no explanation why. I didn't like the way that I looked, and I felt that I was never good enough. I had a lack of control with my ability to concentrate, so school was never great. I felt like I was okay, but I was never the best. I could never be great. And concentrating in general was just hard. The only thing I enjoyed doing was playing games. So I would play games when I wasn't at school, and then when I was at school, I would just struggle to concentrate, socialise, and try to get as much work done as I could. I weren't a bad kid, but I just tried my best, and my best never felt good enough. And that lack of confidence stemmed into later years when I got into college. Now, I did 1 year at A-levels, I failed them completely, tried to go down another route, nearly became an electrician, realised I knew nothing about electrics, and then sacked that fucker off. And then I thought, you know what? I started the gym at 15. I quite like this gym thing. And as you can see, I started to get into some shape, I started to see some muscle, and everyone kind of already knew me as the gym lad, even though looking back, I didn't have a lot of muscle, but I did train. So I thought I'm going to go down the sport route. And with me being born and bred and based in Nottingham at the time, I went to a sports college down in Clifton. Now within that, it was a 2-year course doing sport development and coaching, which then led me to the path of deciding whether I wanted to go to uni or not. Now, my initial thoughts of university was, no, why would I want to go to university? What would I gain from it? I just wanted to coach, but I didn't know what in. And I didn't know what job I truly wanted. I just knew that I wanted to do something with relation to sport. My tutor at the time told me it was a wise idea to go to university. He said it would be a great experience and also an opportunity to meet new people, and it would be the best decision of my life. And I will sit here and hand on heart say it was the best decision of my life, because this is where, for me, a lot of things started to change. So I went into university, 20 years old and fresh-faced, and I loved a drink from the age of 18 every single week, as well as the gym. I'd be going out student nights, weekends. I loved the party. I never did the funky stuff, but I loved the drink. And then I got to Leeds and it carried on. That's not to say that's a bad thing. It's the typical thing to do when you're at uni, and especially coming to a university in Leeds, it's a great city to party in, so it was bound to happen. Met some great people. And throughout my 4 years, including my masters, I've met some great people and made lifelong friends. But during that time, whilst I was at uni, I was working a part-time job, which I already had in Nottingham, which was in sales at a phone shop. I then transitioned to another shop in Leeds. Now, as the years progressed, moved into the second year, into the third year, I then started to kind of come into my shell a little bit more. I started to become a little bit more confident, but I still had minimal confidence within my body, how I looked, which correlated to how I felt. And I could never get a grasp of my shape. I could never get a grasp of how I wanted to look, and I could never take control of that. I would train all the time, but I'd never make much progress. Now, I don't regret going out at uni at all. I enjoyed my time and I enjoyed the experience. Living my life a little bit before I went into adult life. Now, at the end of the third year, this was where something big happened. We all got locked down. We couldn't do anything but go for runs. We got told to sit in the house. We had to wear a mask publicly. We could only walk outside, but we had to socially distance. Weird time. During that time, I lost my job and I became redundant because I was getting paid for a portion of it, and then they had to make redundancies because of the closures of the shop. With this came a little bit of stress because I had to force myself to start to think about the future. And I always wanted to do something in sport, and I feel like that redundancy, although at the time it felt like the worst thing that could have happened, it was the best thing that could have happened, because it led me to another job which I did not want to do, which was delivering pizzas for Pizza Hut. Now, working as a delivery driver gave me a sense of freedom, but the pay wasn't the greatest, and the hours weren't the greatest, and the environment was a little bit shit. No one really enjoyed the job. But for the time, it served a purpose. I had no money coming in, so I needed to do something. I had bills to pay, so it served a purpose. Moving to Leeds initially for me was one of the biggest decisions of my life. But that was the first time that I really felt myself trying to push out my comfort zone. Second time, the most important time for me, was deciding to become a personal trainer. I seen an advert for a JD Gyms and I always wanted to help people. Realised that I didn't want to work in a team, but I wanted to help normal people with normal lives achieve fucking amazing results. And I thought the best way to do that is to put my PT qualification to use, which I got at uni. So I applied for the job. I said to my mum at the time, I am going to become a PT. She says, what do you get paid? I says, nothing. You have to work for free. Tom, what about your bills? How are you going to pay your bills? How are you going to live? I'll make it work. They were my exact words. Now, from someone who never used to have a lot of self-belief and someone who had fuck all confidence, they were probably the most powerful words that I could have said. Because I finally started to fucking believe in myself. And this is where most people go wrong. They're afraid to take the leap. They're afraid to push out of the comfort zone and they stay within the confinements of a comfort bubble and they get nowhere. I did take the risk and I was on rent in the gym in the first 8 weeks. I had a busy diary. Despite things being good in person, having a busy diary, working 5 to 7 days a week, never really having a switch off point. I also racked up £16,000 in debt during my time at uni and then also as a personal trainer, making certain investments, some stupid, some were actually quite wise. Social media wouldn't have shown that. I rarely ever told anyone about it because I felt embarrassed. On paper, I should have been doing okay. I should have been doing well. But the reality was, I was struggling. I was stressed. I felt as though I was going to lose everything and I felt as though there was no way out. But the best thing that I ever did was give myself no fucking way out. I had no other option. There was no plan B. It was either I make it work or I make it work. Just like it was when I went all in online. No plan B. I had to move back home for 7 months. And during that time, well, I had a couple of clients online, around 8, and I had to start to build my online client base because that was then my primary income. It had to work. So I doubled down on certain things like content. I started making YouTube videos. I made sure that I put everything into my bodybuilding prep. I did everything that I possibly could to make it work. And then gradually, things have started to pick up and got to the place where they are now. Now, I won't sit here and say that I'm exactly where I want to be, but it's a never-ending journey, and this is just a part of it. So no matter whether you don't believe in yourself or not, been there, done that, got the t-shirt, you do what needs to be done regardless, and you make sure that you give yourself no plan B. No David Goggins, I'm not someone that is any motivational speaker, but I will say this, I had minimal confidence in myself for a lot of years. I never believed in myself and I never believed in my own ability. But sometimes you have to have a sense of delusion and believe in yourself in such a delusional manner that you know that you're going to make anything work if you try and put your mind to it. And I've got myself to a place where I know that's the case. Anything that I want to do, I will make it work. So if you struggle to believe that you can do certain things now, you've got a goal, you want to achieve it, and you constantly put yourself down, you ain't ever going to get anywhere if you're constantly telling yourself you can't do it. You have to have a sense of delusion, but to create that initial sense of delusion, you have to start proving to yourself that you can do it. And then once you've repeatedly done that and repeatedly shown yourself that you can do certain things when you put your mind to it, and that is when you get more confident in yourself, your own abilities, and what you can do when you put your mind to something. Now, not every video is going to be like this. I will make it clear. I'm not always going to be a David Goggins motivational speaker and talk about my life, okay? I'll mention the fitness side of things, the fat loss side of things, the muscle building. That's what I talk about mainly, but in this video, it was a little bit of a different one, and hopefully you took something positive away from the video. Now, if you did like the video, then just drop it a like for me, and if you're new around here, then subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next video.